Hello, welcome to Divine Astrology. Today we've got John Entherington talking on the Uranus-Jupiter cycle. But first of all, John, hi, welcome.
Hi.
Could you tell us first of all how you got into astrology in the first place?
Oh, well, it goes back a long time to probably the very early 60s, when I bought a magazine called the Pop Pig Star Special, pop music magazine that had these horoscopes of the current celebrities. The Beatles were around then, of course, early days, and the Stones had just come on the scene. They were in the back. So
right.
That was the thing that got me interested. And then I started looking at the stars in the papers regularly. And that's how it all began, I guess. The
Brilliant.
very beginning. Howard Says Portis was working with Liz Green at the time. He was her partner with the CPA. And what a great guy. He was so inspiring and brought such humour into his work.
Yeah.
And one particularly important moment for me was when he was planning to write his first book. And because I was working in an esoteric bookstore, he sought my information about what might be a good subject to write the book about. So we went to a little cafe in Swiss Cottage and discussed his forthcoming book, and I helped him decide it was a very good idea to bring out a book on the houses. So I like to
the
think
12 Houses book, it's
absolutely
the classic
classic.
isn't on the houses.
So hopefully my own little bit of prodding there helped the book along in some way. Also thinking of Howard, I chose the seminars that were in the book, Direction and Destiny and the Birth Chart. Okay. Because I'd been working with the tape library, I knew the last of the good tapes that he'd made, and I chose those particular seminars for the book.
Right.
So
How about some of the other people you were working with at the time?
Well, of course, Charles Harvey took over from Howard Says Portis in the CPA.
Right.
And I think it was a very good choice, because Charles was such a great inspirational figure in astrology, a great group leader, very much a voice for the vision of astrology.
Yeah. And
he was irreplaceable in many respects. The whole community in some ways seemed to gather around him and his inspiration. So, and he was a great astrologist, specifically in things like mundane astrology, which was his speciality. But he also brought variation into his work by becoming involved with the CPA. So him and Howard were exceptional. All right,
tell us a bit more about Liz. I mean, obviously, she's a well-known figure, and we know a great deal about her, as much as you can with a Scorpio rising, but...
Well, yes. What has impressed me so much is the way she's always kept things interesting and moving.
Yeah.
She's never got into any kind of rut with the work. And even when she addresses the same subjects, we always get new input. She's someone who's definitely on a path of both psychological and spiritual growth. And this reflects in her work. So I could hear the same seminar many, many times, still learn new things. And I've seen spirituality coming into her work, more of an appreciation of the arts and culture. And it's forever been a thing of wonder for me to attend her seminars. I always learn from
that. You got involved in going to any groups? Because there wasn't so much around then.
That was a bit later. I bought a magazine that was popular at the time, Mammoth and Magic, that had all sorts of esoteric things in it. And I was interested in the astrology kit they did, which showed me how to do horoscopes in a simple way. And later in the 70s, I joined an astrology group linked with the Mind and Body Festival, a guy called Bill Anderton. And he told me about Liz Green, so that's how I found out about the CPA.
Right, okay. And what was your involvement with the CPA?
Well, I took an immediate interest in what they were doing, and I did a certificate course eventually, and got the certificate. And I became a regular person at the CPA. I started to run their tape library, and eventually I sold the CPA press books for Liz Green. So I had a lot of involvement over the years, later doing bookstores for the centre as well.
Okay. And who are your favourite astrologers? Which books would you recommend, since you sell books?
Oh, goodness. I don't want to leave anyone out, but...
That's a difficult question, isn't it?
Liz and Howard are a great influence. All their work was very important. I love what Rick Tarnas has done with Cosmos and Psyche. Robert Hand's a great astrologer, Planets in Transit. And there's so many more, but those are ones that immediately spring to mind.
Tell us more about Midheaven Books.
Midheaven Books started off at the Urania Trust building in Caledonian Road, which was at one time a home for astrology before it sadly closed down. And Ananda Bagley and Brian Aspland, who ran the shop there at the time, brought me into their electric ephemeris
Right.
shop, and that's where I started selling the books, and eventually founded my own Midheaven bookshop at the time that they pulled out of there. So that left me there running Midheaven Books, which had quite a good lifespan as a shop and is now an online bookshop.
And it is www.
Midheavenbooks.com.
Oh, it's pretty straightforward, isn't it? All right, fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.